Hey everybody, it's Barry here, and I am here for the Q&A vlog. And so I had about 10 questions or so, and I'm going to answer those questions right now, if that's okay with you. Let's do it. So I got a few questions on my art, my performance, and some few questions on education. So I'm going to put it into two categories: education and my art. So from Terry Moose, Terry, anyway, we worked together at Bayshore High School for our ethnic pen conference. Anyway, she asked me what inspires me most. Well, what inspires me most is family, and what inspires me most is other people that are doing awesome and activist things. I really think my mother inspires me because, you know, she's been through a lot in her life. And I also love hearing the stories of the people that came before me. So I think inspiring me means that there's somebody out there that's doing the same thing that I'm doing, and that they didn't give up, and that they persevered through a lot of the, challenges and obstacles that have been in their way. All right, this one comes from Myrna. She's one of my Facebook friends. She says, how do I handle street harassment? Street harassment. Okay. Most of the times I don't even acknowledge street harassment because it's just not worth it. Sometimes when I'm feeling really, really froggy, I leap out, calm down. And a lot of times, I do speak up for myself if something gets a little bit out of hand. But a lot of times if guys are trying to holler at me or whatever, I just ignore it. Something out of pocket, then I might have to check them real quick. I've had a couple of guys be a little dangerous towards me, like follow me off the train or follow me off the bus. So that's not cool. And also keep talking to me when I'm not interested. Like those kind of things I'll try to be nice about. But at the same time, if it gets to a point where they're not listening, I go, look, mofo. All right, so Victoria, homegirl from Colored Content, check her out. I'm gonna put all the descriptions for everybody that I talked about that I can remember in the comments below in my description box. She says, do you aspire to act in films? As you know, I have a degree in theater, so I can direct, I can write, I can sing, I can act, I can costume design, I can try to stage design, even though it's been a long time, lighting, sound. I did all of that. I have a BA in theater, so I took all those classes. I had all those practicums. All those theater kids out there, you know what those practicums look like. Films only if the film kind of resonates with my soul and my body. Oftentimes my actions, I'm so used to being big not on screen, big on stage, that I'd have to tone it down a little bit on film. But I've always wanted to be a film actress. It's just, finding the right parts, making sure that it speaks to my work, because a lot of times the reason why I write my own one-woman shows and my own things to act in is because oftentimes I don't get the roles that I would like, And even though people might not consider me to be heavy, like I'm a size 8 or whatever, in most of the clothes, oftentimes when you're a certain size, you're not cast as the person that is the love interest. And especially if you're a black woman, as myself, and you also have hair that looks like this, of course you can also change it when you have a character, but most of the time, there was not any parts that was written. Play those roles really well. You play those mammy roles really well. And I was 21 years old. So from that point on, I knew that I had to create work that spoke to my soul and that was authentic to me. All right, so this is an education question from Robert Sawyer. What are some ways educators can counteract stereotypes and help young people claim their own identity? First off, ask questions. For me, I don't make any assumptions. I don't assume that anybody is from anywhere and they come from a different background. I just let them tell me. And once they tell me who they are, I celebrate that identity that they choose to be. Sometimes I do activities where I say stand up if you, cross the room if you, and be mindful of the ones that are standing when you're sitting, be mindful of the ones that are sitting when you're standing, and this is a safe space. So oftentimes I tell some stories about myself and how I came to grips with who I was. There goes my earring. And from there, I think that helps to have a comfortable environment where people can claim their identity. When I was 18 years old, I didn't necessarily know who I was. I knew I was a black woman. I knew I, came from a black woman. I knew that I was in a family of black people. but I didn't necessarily know the history of what it was like to be in this country as a black person. So I had to do research on my own. I had to read a lot. So find people that are interesting, that look like you, and find out what they're doing, and maybe that'll help to bring out their comfort in their own identity and to help them claim it. All right, performance. Most embarrassing performance moment by Edson Sean. Hey, Edson out there. My most embarrassing performing moment was I was performing for the International Man asked me to perform, and yeah, I tried to play piano publicly, and I only had been playing for like a short amount of time. It was really embarrassing, but like I powered through and like I made it through, but it was so bad. It was so bad, like I'm just now getting over it 3 years later. So yeah, I won't be doing that again. Well, not until I feel comfortable, but I tried it, I did it, and it was whack. All right, so this next question comes from Tanea, one of my former students. She said, how do you balance your love for education with your personal life? Well, it's a tricky one, but I've been teaching for the past 13 years, 12 years, since 2005, 12 years. And for me, it's having fun, being able to have fun and doing what you love at the same time. So for me, I'm glad I'm a teaching artist now, because a teaching artist, I can go in, I can teach poetry, I can teach hip-hop songwriting, I could teach test prep for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then be done. And so I only work 11 to 15 hours a week, and then the other time that I work is for my shows and for traveling and for creating new things and new performances. All right, the next question comes from Jasmine. Hey Jasmine, she's a poet herself. And she said, when I went full-time artist, did I plan it or wing it? Listen, for 3 years, my father died in 2010, and for 3.5 years, it took me a while to be like, I need to leave and I need to follow my path. It's time for me to be up out of here or whatever. So once I decided that, it took me 3 years because it was hard for me to leave the kid. So I took out my 401k. I lived off my 401k for like a year, and I saved up money or whatever. And I didn't plan on using my 401k, but I did use my 401k, and it was about $45,000 or whatever. And I invested in myself. I paid for Brown Girl Bluegrass myself with some help of donations, and that's pretty much how it worked out. Why did I choose vegan? And then that's from Jasmine as well. So, and there's also another question. What was my experience converting to no meat? So I'm going to answer those questions together. And that second question is from D'Angelo Jones. I went to high school with him, so shout out to him, even though he loves Louisville. I transitioned, or what made me become a vegan is because I had been transitioning for a long time. I got rid of beef and pork in 2001. I got rid of just milk in 2004 because it just gave me stomach problems. And then I got rid of all dairy products in 2006 because I did a Martha's Vineyard diet, and I was doing nothing but plant-based or plant green drinks that were disgusting. It was nasty. I hated it. But then I was like, cheese don't seem right in my body anymore. Sour cream don't seem right in my body anymore. So I stopped in 2006 with all dairy. Then I read this book called Skinny Bitch, and Skinny Bitch kind of changed my life. And then I read more books, and then eventually, there goes my earring again. Eventually, I got rid of all animal products, and so that's why I went vegan. My body just felt better when I went vegan, and I still have some issues sometimes when I eat too much soy or I eat too much like processed foods, so I got to be mindful of that. But for the most part, I'm a whole foods supporter, which means I cook everything from scratch, and it's in its raw state, and then I either eat it raw or I cook it, and I create all the spices and things myself. So you can check out my vegan playlist, my vegan eats playlist, where you can see my vegan life playlist, where you can see all of the things that I've made so far on YouTube. My experience to converting was great. I mean, I didn't really have any issues converting. I went vegan 10 years ago, so the only options I had was maybe going to a health food store and finding what I needed to find. So I had a health food store on Austin Street about 9 years ago. It closed about 2010, 2011. I loved it. I was a regular, and I used to get all their little funky little milks and everything like that because I really couldn't find it in regular stores. Now they're all in regular stores, so I can find almond milk and hemp milk and cashew milk and hazelnut milk and oat milk and all of these kind of milks, what I wasn't able to find, let's say in a Pathmark or a Kroger or a Walmart. Now you can find California Farms, and you can find Silk and all the other ones, Blue Mountain, for the almond milk. So yeah, the conversion was pretty easy. When I first started, I was doing like meat alternatives, and then after a while I was like, okay. And so now I only do meat alternatives when I go out. And most of the times people think that veganism is a white person thing, but it really isn't. Vegans struggle with intersectionality as well, because I'm a black woman, vegan from Kentucky, and oftentimes when I go back home and try to find vegan things, it's like, eh. So I'm an advocate. I always speak up about it. Sentient beings' lives to me matter just as much as, you know, human lives, even though human lives are in the forefront of my mind because I'm a black woman in this world, and therefore sometimes animals can be often treated better than black people. Thank you so much for asking me all these cool questions. I've been vlogging for the past 3 or 4 months, and so I've really picked up with subscribers. So I appreciate all of you, you know, asking questions and like getting to know more about me. Let me know if you want to find out more things about veganism or about my job as a teacher, as an educator, my job as a performer, how did I get into makeup and all those different things, with my one earring. But anyway, I'll talk to you later.